If we're using Treasury inflation protected securities, if we're taking dividends from stock, if we're taking distributions from packaged products like real estate investment trusts, if we're using rent as a big part of our income, we need to back that up with some guaranteed sources that will really generate great income. Folks, Colin Richards here, and I am back for another episode here of the Lord and Richards Show. And in this little mini-series, I've been talking about top questions that retirees or pre-retirees want answered. And of course, the number one question is, do I have enough to retire? And so the question is more complex than it seems, because on TV and when we follow commercials and listen to the big brokerages talk on and on, they say, oh, you just need a number, you need a number. Well, there's so much more than that. You know, if you are relying on non-guaranteed income sources, then we have what's called a safe withdrawal rate. And oh yes, I know people really bash this, blah, 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 and they just say, take it as you go and you'll be fine. The reality is, if you want to back up your plan with science and expertise, then you need to listen to the experts who are talking about it. And experts are telling us that that safe withdrawal rate is not what we've been told. It's not the 4% rule that was used for years. Many people will run out of money before they run out of life if they blindly follow that rule. It's really closer to 2 to 3%. But folks, I'm going to talk to you today in this segment about how to use guaranteed income sources to raise that rate. Okay, if we're using non-guaranteed income sources in our portfolio or elsewhere, we need to have a safe withdrawal rate of somewhere to 2 to 3% in our planning. So if we're using Treasury inflation protected securities, if we're taking dividends from stock, if we're taking distributions from packaged products like real estate investment trusts, if we're using rent as a big part of our income, we need to back that up with some guaranteed sources that will really generate great income. Now, let's talk about the foundational pieces that most of us are going to have. Social Security. You've got to get this right. I've got entire episodes on getting this right. I want you to check them out at our podcast for Lord and Richards, as well as our YouTube channel for Lord and Richards. So Social Security is replete with pitfalls, and people make a lot of foolish mistakes that they could have avoided, like just grabbing it because they felt like they could, or getting it while the getting is good, or worrying about it going insolvent. These are all things we need to set aside and focus on maximizing what is, for many, the biggest single income source in their portfolio. And maximizing it doesn't just mean waiting forever to retire, right? That would be obvious, wait till 70. But folks, I'm talking about optimizing it, particularly if you have a household, if you have a spouse, figuring out how to get more out of that program than you would if you just tackle it willy-nilly. Most people spend 15 minutes on this decision. Now they're thinking about it, they're listening to the gurus on the radio. Let us help you use advanced comprehensive planning software to dial this in to the day and the month when you should optimize this to maximize your wealth over your lifetime. The second guaranteed area is guaranteed government pensions. Oh man, you know, I've told you before, in my family, my dad served in the Air Force for many years, served his country. Praise God for that. Helped defend us during the Vietnam War and years later. And then he served our local community through law enforcement. Praise God for that, you know, helping us stay safe. And then now he's got additional benefits that have been paid out to him by our government because of things that went wrong during past wars, things that abused our soldiers like Agent Orange and so forth. And if you're a veteran, I hope you have really taken advantage of every program that's out there because you are worthy of it. You know, you've served this country. You should not be forgotten. So a government pension is fantastic. Make sure you take a joint payout if you're given that option. Now I want to talk about guaranteed income from something that you can control, and that is income benefit annuities. I've talked to you in whole episodes about annuities, and some people get really freaked out. Aren't those expensive? Yes, if they're variable, so don't use variable. Can't I lose my money? Yes, if they're variable, so don't use variable. Don't I lose control of my money? Well, yes, if they're immediate annuity, so don't use an immediate if that's a concern. Don't I have to tie up my money for a period of time? Yes, you must. And that's the one thing that you need to come to grips with. If you're using a barbell portfolio like I've taught you, you've got a whole pot of liquid available money to support your enhanced lifestyle in retirement or before. We need to have the maturity to take some of our money and set it aside in long-term guaranteed income vehicles that are safe and secure, principal protected, do not lose money, have the opportunity to grow with the market, but number one, provide you with a guaranteed income that you, and if you're married, your spouse cannot outlive. And if you will do that, you can raise your safe withdrawal rate on your portfolio to 4 to 7%. Double what it would be if you tried to do this with stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or other non-guaranteed income sources. So I want you to look at income benefit annuities. The good news is that although there are people all over the place who, because they don't use them or don't like them, don't give advice about them, at Lord & Richards, it's just a piece of a total comprehensive plan. You need a written income plan that will make sure that you have some guaranteed income sources so your lifestyle is never put at risk. You see, while we pontificate about dividends and tips and distributions from REITs and rents and all these are great. I want you to have them if you can afford them. But before you go out and invest in non-guaranteed income sources, I want you to get your foundation in place and then build on that for the luxury lifestyle that maybe you want to build up on top of your basic living expenses. So Social Security, government pensions, income benefit annuities, that's it. That's your guaranteed income sources. Everything else is off the table. It might sound guaranteed. It might look guaranteed. It might smell guaranteed. I want you to forget about it until you get your guaranteed income in place. Not just Social Security. I know most of you are going to have that. Not just government pensions. I want you to have some other income sources to make sure that your lifestyle is fully supported. You say, well, my understanding is when I retire, I'm going to need less money, Colin. That is not true. Unless you are just a stoic and want to retire to a monastery, I'm telling you, your lifestyle is probably going to be more expensive in retirement, with the exception of things like getting your house paid off, right? Now, that's a whole separate discussion. One day I'll do an episode on whether or not you should pay off your house early. But folks, these are the foundational pieces. Social Security, you've got to get it right. We teach you how to do it. We help you do it. Government pensions, we help you turn those on at the right time. And then income benefit annuities. Folks, I want to have this conversation with you about financial independence. It really just starts with my team and I having a simple phone call.